we run out of talk, right? Which we never seem to do. So I want to thank everybody for coming out today. Chris has always come through and given us wonderful talks with slideshows. And then as a follow-up, on May 2nd, Chris and Tim will be doing a walk along the creek meeting at the Glenmore Methodist Church. We're carpool down to Burgess Park and we'll start our walk from there this year. So it'll be different and we never know what nature's going to provide for us. So Chris,
What time is that?
it'll be at 1:30 down there. And then Mother's Day weekend, Tim and Vanessa will be having a plant sale on Saturday, what time?
9 to 3.
9 to 3 on Saturday and Sunday noon to 3. So if you need vegetables and plants and things like that,
You don't see.
it'll be at the Glenmore Methodist Church parking lot for that also. So, Mother's Day weekend.
Mother's Day.
So it's the
Oh,
9th
everybody's
and
watching.
10th.
But we still get a lot of traffic.
So, welcome Chris, and we'll turn the show over to you.
All right. These are a bunch of things that I found in town here within the past year. I would start off with something that I feel like is everywhere around you, and it's very fascinating, and people can easily walk by it without even realizing it. And so I was going to start off with a couple of entomopathogenic fungi, and that's fungus that infect insects. And I even have a special on YouTube, it's on BCTV, that's more detail about these guys and stuff. But I'll do a run through of a couple things that I found around here in the past year. This is Entomopthora, the other one was Entomopthora muscae, which was a fly infected with fungus. And then it grows out, and sometimes you can find them in like hollow, and then they go up to the top of the blade of grass, and they bond themselves to the grass, and the mushroom grows out. And then the next one is a moth. You can see like the eye there, and the wing, and again, they instead of the grass, they find a twig on a shrub or tree, and they bond to it, and the mushroom grows out, spreads the spores. And the third one is a spider. That's called Gibellula. That's my favorite. That's a little bit tougher to find. They climb up to the top of a shrub or tree on the bottom side of the leaf and bind themselves to the bottom side of the leaf, and then all the mushrooms grow out. As you can see the shape of the spider, the mushrooms growing out. And you can find that in like late summer, early fall. You're walking through the woods and you look up the leaves and you can see the sun shining through, and you can see like a silhouette of something on the bottom of the leaf. You get a closer look. That was taken with a microscope camera with focus stacking, so you got to get a closer look. It's definitely a small guy. Also, in insect infecting, the next one is insect infecting nematode, which was just in a vernal pool. I was just looking for amphibians, and I found this guy, which is kind of a crazy parasite. Sometimes maybe you saw a video of an insect and they put it in water and then something comes out of it. But that's what that is, and it lays its eggs, and a small insect will eat those eggs and then get infected. Then a larger insect eats that insect and then it infects that one, and it's often seen in red mantis. But then on to some actual insects here. In the moth area, there's a green marble. Which you don't see much because they're out more at night. But it's quite a bright, colorful guy. And they like viburnum, that's their host plant, that's what the caterpillars will eat. And the next one is a camouflage looper. And you can see the video. This caterpillar will take pieces of the flower that it's on and bond it to its back to camouflage itself. So, and then if it moves to another flower, we'll take those pieces off and get the new flower pieces. And this moth here, this is the moth that's the adult form of that caterpillar. So there's even a possibility it was in the same area. This could be the adult form of that exact guy, but I don't know if people want to pass around and look at it.
Thinking Chris is probably pretty tasty if he goes all that trouble.
Hey, Chris.
Oh.
That's your jacket.
And of course, a lot of people know the Luna moth, and they have many different kind of host plants. Some moths or butterflies are very specific. They're less specific, but they do eat walnut and hickory, which are two things that are around here a lot. And then the next one is also a Luna moth, the same one that we found. That was kind of, I think it was pretty fresh out of the cocoon, so it wasn't going to fly off or anything, and we got to hang out with it for a while.
You can see its wings aren't pumped up fully.
And the next one is a tulip tree deity. I think it's a cool picture because you can see its face, but I only saw that because it flew up to the tree and I got a good picture of it. But if you were looking at it straight on, it's so camouflaged you would never see it. The only reason why I saw it was because I saw it fly onto the tree. They blend right in. You could walk by them all the time and not even realize. The next guy is the little wood satyr. Their host plant is more like native grasses, maybe some sedges. But they're very common around Glenmore, for sure. You go out there and they're everywhere. The next one here is a monarch butterfly. Oh, these.
Very sensitive.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this one I missed. I'll go there. Saddleback caterpillar give a pretty nasty sting, and I just wanted to show there that they actually move their stingers into you. So it's not just like a coincidence if you get stung by them. They see anything they rub up against you. And then you have a very minor sting, or there have been severe cases where people are very sensitive to them.
There's seats up here. Seats up here.
I know.
And then the next one is the monarch. It's actually the monarch eclose, which is when they come out of the chrysalis. This one was, this is sped up camera, 20 times speed. And we had time with this as a caterpillar and everything and watched over it as it went in the chrysalis. We named it Marky the Monarch. So, you see that it has all the liquid in its abdomen and the wings are very small and it's pumping the liquid into its wings and expanding them to the full size. And then it still can't fly for a while, so it just kind of sits around and gets its bearings on things for quite a while before it's actually fully ready to fly away.
How long is this whole process for it to?
Like I said, that was a 20 times speed, so that was 20 minutes in 1 minute.
That's pretty cool.
But I did come back hours later and it was still where I left him.
Yeah, you see it look live, just kind of stretch out. That's pretty cool.
Where did you find the cocoon?
They were all over. If you supply the right host plant, they'll be around and we'll have caterpillars all over.
They'll be
And their caterpillars were all over my yard and stuff.
Hey, can I interrupt those?
Yes.
I know I just got here, but it's funny that you're doing that because my neighbor's granddaughter we grow parsley in the garden. And apparently there's like a black monarch, and that's the host plant. And every year we have these beautiful monarchs come and they lay eggs on the parsley plants.
It's a black
And then
swallow.
she does that, and then she puts them in a cage and hatches them. That's cool. Thought I'd show.
Yeah. Then there's, moving on to some other insects, there's the yellow haired false horn. This is a hoverfly, so like some people may mistake this as a bee. It kind of mimics a bee, but you can always tell the difference with the eyes, and the antennae are like bulbs instead of actually long antennas, showing that it's actually a fly. And then I focused a lot of time on some different bees. This is the green sweat bee. They're called sweat bees because sometimes they'll actually drink sweat. So they may land on you, people may be afraid they're going to sting you or something, but they actually very rarely sting, and they're usually just landing on people to get a drink with the sweat. And the other one is kind of some unequal cellophane bees. They're actually mating. But they're all down by the creek in the springtime, and they'll be flying all over the place, hiding in little holes. When they first come out, the first ones come out of the males, and they're just hovering around waiting for the females. And then this happens.
Does it happen in the air?
What's that?
Does it happen in the air?
Oh, no. They're usually on the ground.
Because with honeybees, the queen will go up really high and she falls, and all the males mate with her as she goes down. So by the time she gets to the bottom, she's all set to go for the rest of her life.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. You can go to the next one, pretty cool nomad bee. It's a parasitic bee, and there are many different species, and a lot of the mining bees and the cellophane bees that we just saw, these guys will go up to their holes in the ground, lay their eggs in it, the egg will hatch, eat the other bee's egg and the pollen they left for their baby, and take over the nest. And there's like pretty much like a nomad bee for every species of mining bee and cellophane bee. And I saw something kind of interesting the other day where someone was asking the identity of species of a certain nomad bee, and one of the professional guys was saying how like they haven't even been studied really enough to like fully have a good understanding of some of that stuff sometimes. And some of the native bees and stuff don't even have like common names. People just call them by their scientific names because people haven't gone that far into it.
So are you saying that, so with every one species, there's a counter species that actually preys upon it?
Yes, yeah.
So it keeps that population.
And you can see they're usually red and yellow, but there's variations within them. You see them buzzing around the ground.
That's awesome.
Another one that's pretty interesting, the pruno squash bee. If you have like zucchini, pumpkin, any of those type of things in the squash family, these guys, they are specialized in pollinating them. They're usually just living in the flower. They stay in there a lot of the time, sleep in there. I found them dead in the flower when it closes. They were more like southwestern United States, where squash originated. And as people put squash in their gardens and increased the area of squash, the bee followed and increased their range to everywhere. So if you have a garden, they're probably in there, just hanging out in the flower.
We just planted zucchini.
And another cool one is the longhorn bee. I always enjoy them. They got the really big blue eyes, as they're named after the very long antenna. They seem like the fall sunflower and the cup flower sometimes. If you go out at night and you have any of those flowers, you can find them sleeping on the flower. I've seen as many as 4 per flower just sleeping on the inside of the flower. Just always fun. They just latch right on and doze off. And there's always a nice relationship sometimes between bees and flowers.
Turtles?
This is a white turtlehead and a bumblebee. Bumblebee is the only bee that can really pry its way into the flower properly. So they're the only ones that can properly pollinate it, and it like works so that the way they do it actually pollinates the flower. There are other bees that are smaller that will cheat and like eat their way through the back and steal the pollen or the nectar, and in that case they don't pollinate the flower, they just cheat the process. And a lot of people don't realize that sometimes the praying mantis can take out some of the pollinators.
Sorry about
It's all good. And here's a praying mantis that got a bumblebee. Down on them a little bit. They actually, a lot of times praying mantis will just hang out on a flower and wait for something to come, including butterflies, and then they got themselves a meal.
it. And the fly goes too. Look.
Picking up this part.
This is a Coberman. This is a larval phase of a Dobson fly or a fish fly. It is a sign of a good ecosystem if you find those by the creek. They have little pinchers, but they don't really, I mean, they pinched me before, and it's not really going to hurt you or anything. At least it doesn't bother me much.
But you play hockey
Good
too.
job.
I was going to say, it jumps in the green one, it's just a house.
The next clip is just the adult form. It's a fish fly. So that's what it looks like once it gets to its adult form.
Almost looks like it's got walking toes.
Yeah.
Translucent.
So what's the transformation from the hoverblade to the Dobson fly? Like, they're in a cocoon, are they underwater? 'Cause-
I don't think they do a cocoon. They hide under a rock, and they stay down there and they do their final phase. But I've seen them right before and right after, and it seems to happen quickly. Now I'm not quite sure. I guess it's probably kind of like the. I'll show you the cicada later, and you'll see how they like break out exuvia and trans.
It seems like it shrinks, because there's hoverblades.
Yeah, exactly.
Looks smaller.
Then there's the fishing spider. They're pretty big guys that hang out by the creek, and they're pretty harmless, obviously. But I did go to see an insect guy who, got this in my head, and it did take a few tries of me being like, oh my god! Have a steady hand for that. And the next one is another one of a crab spider waiting on a flower for a pollinator. And here comes the fly.
Travel.
And
That was fast.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome shot.
Chair really crisp. How long did it take you to get that
another one with the mating. End-band net wing beetle. This is a beetle that's often seen around the creek area, and as is the normal way of things, the statement of like when they're bright like that, they're poisonous or toxic to predators. Most predators should stay away from these guys because they are pretty toxic to eat. Some pretty cool antennas there. Get back to it. the four-tailed bush katydid. When in the adult phase, it looks like a pretty large grasshopper, but in the young phase, it has this crazy alien look to it with the crazy blue going on. But this is what they look like earlier in the season. They start out in the different stages going up to finally being a fully green, normal-looking katydid.
So they'll like translucent.
Yes, yeah. Depending on the species, this particular species. There are lots of species of katydid around here. And the next guy is the narrow-winged tree cricket, which people don't often see, but they're very common. I'm sure people hear them all the time. But it's very, that's pretty like light, translucent there. It's a very common noise to hear in the night in the woods, but they're often in the trees and nobody really looks up there. And for the next guy, we don't usually think of like beetles in this area that are like this large, but like this is a broad-necked root borer beetle, and they mostly live on the ground, so you're not going to see them most of the year. They come out to lay eggs, and that's what he's doing there. That's the ovipositor coming out to lay the eggs, and you can see his face when it kind of moves around, but sometimes you can see they're large holes, and they mostly just, like I said, feed off the roots, and then every once in a while you'll see one come up.
How big are they?
Probably like that big. And another cool example of a ovipositor is a parasitic wasp. This is the American Pelicillin wasp, and it has that long ovipositor that's also to deposit eggs, and it goes after June beetles, which are in the ground. So it needs to stick that whole contraption into the ground, lay the eggs on the larva of the June beetle, where it will infect them and then grow up to be this large fellow with a jointed ovipositor. And I got a whole process of cicadas going from the young phase to the adult phase. So this is the early on. It just came out of the ground. They live in the ground for like a few years, depending on the species. Come up out of the dirt, and they'll make their way up to a piece of vegetation, cling on, find a place to solidify, and then they bust out. And this is the exubia, the outer shell that they bust out of. You can see there's phase by phase here. You always see the exubia with the crack in the back, so you can see how it's coming out of the back of the shell.
That's pretty gross.
That's also spit up. That's I don't remember the amount of time.
Obviously, it's at night.
Yes. And go to the next one. I think it's a picture of after it like kind of drops out. You can see them coming out.
Wow.
And then the final video is the expansion of the wings like the monarch did. So you see they just have like the little tiny wings there, bunched up, and he does the like pumping up the wings slowly.
Back?
Yeah, I think so. Totally. Just a little bit before he gets in the.
Is this set up too?
Yes, yes, this is almost sped up. This, if I showed the whole video, I wouldn't have any patience for that. here's cicada, full size. Over time, it lost its color. They had that bright green, but this is the size of the wings, everything. And then I think the last one is just right after. And again, that was right after transformation. They're not really very functional yet. They have to take some time. So I was able to just hang it from my finger and put him right back where he was. Onto the larger animals. There's a garter snake, little baby. It's pretty cooperative. Little guy does open his mouth a little bit here. But I feel like oftentimes we hear about how snakes can like eat things that are like significantly larger than the size of their head. And we don't think of that as snakes like in this area, but there's an adult garter snake on the next one. And people don't like the video, so I just did a picture.
You ready?
Way larger.
It succeeded in eating?
First question.
I believe so. I walked away as well.
Yes, it did. It was a good video.
Yes. After an hour, we walked away because it just
We
takes a
just
very
got the
long
video
time.
up.
Yeah. And nobody wanted me to play that. But
I thought I had about 3 times.
onto turtles, friendlier little guy. There was a lot of box turtles last year that were down in Burgess. We found a bunch of them. And there's some different color variations. Sometimes it's more yellow, sometimes it's more orange. Some people say that determines the gender, but sometimes it doesn't exactly. But you definitely know it's a box turtle because the bottom of the shell can fold up, and fold out when he hides in there.
Flyers
I know you were doing this, so we needed, if I could find pictures of the bob turtles.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, we love bog turtles,
Oh,
especially for development. We love bog
Yeah. Go on the bill, put a bob turtle.
Yes, exactly.
Never find
I'll
them.
borrow them from you so I can plant them.
And this year, I had some help from my girlfriend Jennifer. Sometimes she had to videotape me as snapping turtle.
Lovely.
Tiny one. See the ones that are inside, can't send the trash can.
Yeah. We had one come up from the lake and laid the eggs in our mulch pile that we just had left over. And we get the mother and the babies down, we just got a big trash can, put them in and rolled it down, shovel into where you get to the lake and get back in. And they were like, they look like king balls. Yep. We love to have.
And something interesting we found as well. There are certain leeches that are specifically made for turtles, smooth turtle leech. So they can't live if the turtle leaves the water, they end up dying. But some of them stay under the water for a long period of time. They just live on them and stay attached the entire time.
Too bad not swimming in the brain line
Yeah. Yeah, that was a payment turtle.
The next one is just a long-tailed salamander. They're pretty common in the area, but they're bright orange. Sometimes there's also redbacks, which I brought a few in here if anyone want to check these guys out. And then one of the cool ones that lives around here a lot that you'll never see is the spotted salamander, which is next here. This is him swimming because he comes out for the one time a year to breed, and will go in the vernal pools and stuff. and they're amazing swimmers. They look like they're made for the water, but they're usually not in the water that much. It's just during breeding time that they do that. This here is from the vernal pool, and there are little tiny spotted salamanders in there. People don't, if we go to the next one, this is still a spotted salamander in the egg, and it jumps around in there. And then the next one is after it hatches. And I put like a dime in there so you can see the size of it. It's quite small. You can see the writing of dime on the dime. This is done with a microscope camera. Unfortunately, these guys the eggs are all laid in a vernal pool, but this year, with how droughty it's been, the vernal pool dried up, so we tried to rescue some, and that's why we got some here. And I'm still back in my house, and hopefully if it rains, I will put them back where I found them. But for now, it's completely dry. That's why they go in vernal pools, because the vernal pools will dry in the summertime, and fish can't live in there. But if they go into a pond that has fish, the fish will eat them before they cook them. But the next one, onto the frogs, some spring keepers, doing their peeping. I'm sure that people have heard plenty of this year. I actually was out there videotaping these guys, and somebody came out. What are you doing with a flashlight in the middle of the night?
Someone's known his business.
And then a gray tree frog, which still hasn't happened yet, but in May, June, that's when we start coming out and doing this, and I always have to do this video because they just seem to cooperate. You go out at night and find them while they're calling. I can get them to call on my hand, on my arm, whatever. It's pretty cooperative.
Kind of looks like somebody had that.
That's on my hand. And the next one goes back to last year's slideshow, because last year when we came here, there was a nest on the door out there, and we propped the door open so nobody would disturb them when everybody came in and out. And then once we were done with the slideshow, I came back and videotaped this. And that's the male trying to feed the babies, but the female's like, no, me, come on.
Sure.
That's a house. And the males have the red, and the female does not have the red. And another kind of finch, the goldfinch. You can see these guys on the flowers all the time. They eat the seeds. This is another reason why I always speak highly of bergamot. I always talk about the hummingbird moths loving it. And once the hummingbird moths are all done with it, the flowers are gone, the seeds come out. Goldfinches love that. Anywhere that has wild bergamot, they're on there eating all the seeds up.
Zinnias as well.
Oh yeah?
We love the zinnias.
Nice. All right, and a very cool species of woodpecker is the yellow-bellied sapsucker. And we'll put little holes in the tree, and the sap comes out, and then it'll eat the sap. In the summertime, sometimes the insects go to the sap, and they get caught in it, then the woodpecker eats the sap and the insects. As you can see, it's wintertime, and the sap is frozen. But you'll see it a little bit here. It'll start poking away at the ice and eating it. And
check it out.
And a lot of times when you go up into the woods, if you look closely on trees, you can see trees, there's ones that are their favorites. You just see like lines of holes all the way down. They can really beat up some trees.
Yeah.
Yes, apple trees. Sharon's house. The great egret, and a turtle, a painted turtle. That's at Marsh Creek. You guys have seen the things that have the turtle things on Marsh Creek there when you drive over. That's where that is. Being that that thing is called a great egret, I feel like that turtle's just looking at him, staring, going, not so great.
Or you're in my spot.
Yeah, and I'm happy with it for sure.
That's great.
Why do they only stand, why do they only stand on one leg?
They don't always stand on one leg, but I think that at times they just need to like rest one leg for a little while, and they just kind of like switch it up. In fact, interesting fact of birds that you bring this up that has, that I wasn't even going to talk about, they can sleep one side of the brain at a time. So they'll like, they were trying to figure this out because they would find birds that would just fly in circles. And they found out that half of the brain would fall asleep and they would just swim in circles, or fly in circles, and then the other half of the brain would fall asleep and then they'd swim or fly in circles the other way. The reason why I keep getting mixed up is because sharks have been found to do the same thing. So they swim in circles and the birds.
Is that all birds?
I don't know the answer. This is like perhaps newer stuff that they don't totally fully understand how widespread it is. But I listen to a podcast, Ologies, and they have the top scientists in every field talking forever. It's fantastic. If you ever want to like learn about wildlife, just pick out. They have 500 episodes. Pick out the ones about wildlife. We'll go in depth with all that stuff like crazy.
What I do is like my chickens, they have independent eyes. So one will be looking for predators, the other one's looking down for food. And there's this whole thing going on simultaneously, which is really interesting.
Then a great blue heron. I just got this picture last week, and we had a disagreement about which blue heron picture to use, so I just used both. Is not as clear or crisp, but it's a crazy pose.
Yeah.
The next one.
Like that. That's so cool, Chris.
I used to be beyond his house, they would come flying down the river, like a foot above the river. And I was like, their wings go from bank to bank. It's enormous.
And the way that I get this sometimes, they all nest in one area. If you go to the next clip, herons nest in one area. It's called a rookery or a heronry. And you can see that's just a small area. You can see the density of the nest. There's like 3 trees that are just full of them. And if you go there, it's just insanity. And they're public ones. You can go to, I think, in the main line and stuff, where people know about them. And there's like a whole setup where you can stand at a certain area and watch them.
Where's this one?
It's in Glenmore. I don't want to give away any more detail than that.
Don't tell them.
And the next guy is a hummingbird. I always enjoy getting some good hummingbird video. And this guy was just hanging out there resting. He does a series of cool movements and stretches. This is a male that was very much like protecting this area of flowers, and just like the cardinal flowers, they love them. So he does some stretching, and then he'll start sticking out his tongue a little bit. And then you see that's how he gets the the inside the flower to the nectar when they're drinking. And a little bit here, he does a little scratch. And he's out. And I always wanted to do like a video of me videoing so I get the picture of things. So the next one I have the hummingbird, and you can kind of see how this goes down. And the cardinal flower, that's the cardinal flower. We love that stuff. If you ever see it during the summertime, if you don't see hummingbirds there, that's because you just scared them away. If you hang out and sit down, we'll come back. And you can see them there videotaping it.
How many hours do you have wrapped up just in this?
So you got 2 minutes.
Oh, too many.
Hundreds, thousands?
I mean, it's not as much as most people would have to spend, because like I said, I know this spot and I know where they're at and I know the behavior, so I have a good understanding of when to go there and, you know, the whole situation. But yeah, I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't like spend entirely too much time.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of reproduction, right? To actually finding them,
Yeah,
getting the cameras and doing all that. Wow.
But one of my favorites, you often hear them before you see them. The kingfisher, they're up and down the creek. They'll fly away, but every time they fly away, they make their sound, which is just lightly there. Usually they're much louder than that. But now I'm going blank. The other one of the genders has the maroon on the front. I think it's the male, meaning it's a female, but I might have it backwards. And yeah, they always do the tail thing. And on to some pretty cool birds of prey. There was these red-shouldered hawks hanging out for a while. They were loving my backyard for a while, and we just hang out here on the tree and wait for prey to come in. And one day I was watching one on the edge of the woods, and I saw one come out of the corner of my eye when I had the camera out. Which brings us to the next slide, where I was able to capture right as he caught the starling. Which we'll move that wing in a little bit, and you can see that he's got a starling there.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah. I mean, I'm from inside shooting out a window, so he can't see me, but he's just kind of like,
He knows you're there.
For one, yeah, right?
Be a watch.
Yeah, can I increase?
looks at the wing, and I go in there.
Yeah, he's down in there.
That's true, I saw on ABS, the raptors, the fistful of daggers. I seen that, they showed raptors all over the world. It's a good show.
Right. Also a red-tailed hawk, in a situation where there was actually ravens that came in and they found a dead squirrel. And then this red-tailed hawk came in, you can see the raven. It's like tail, and he flies away with it.
Bigger than you.
Which, it's crazy, because it took me a while to even realize that was ravens until I watched it again. Because I had other video before this showing them better, and you don't see ravens very often, but they were hanging out eating a squirrel in the yard. Next, the very commonly talked about around here, the bald eagle, always around here. So this guy, right by Flat Rock, pretty much, he was just hanging out there. Soon after they stopped the trout.
Right.
Of course.
That's when he shows up every spring.
Yeah. Trying to get a little meal out of there. From the nursery straight to the bald eagle.
Has anyone seen a nesting pair in Glenmore yet?
I haven't, and I haven't heard about it, but there's one in downtown right now in Kerr Park that everybody's talking about. They have it set up where you have to stand behind a certain area and check it
Yeah,
out.
part of the park's closed off.
Yes.
There's a nice thing there on far away.
Oh, really?
Near Schuylkill Lake, yeah.
Nice.
Of course, they have Kurtz's Fish Hatchery.
Right there, so
They can take a right over.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner's provided.
They know where to get it.
She said you saw the man in your house eating a catfish one morning or something. Said you saw the eagle swoop there in the pond.
Couldn't be bad.
Osprey.
There, this is,
That's where we were. Yes?
you go ahead to the next one. One of the craziest birds in our area, it's very rare to see, is a woodcock or timber beetle. And we went out to find amphibians one night and ran into this guy. And I wasn't sure which one to use. I didn't get one with the vocalization or anything, but it's a very crazy bird in the way it walks, the way it acts. It's actually a shorebird that adapted to be on land, and it does a little like meh, meh. And, we're looking for amphibians, I heard meh, and it's like stop everything. We're gonna find that. And then I decided I was going to scope out a mulberry tree last year to see all the birds, and found that actually there's way more squirrels than birds. And they did some nice acrobatic stuff to get to all the berries. Thanks for a fun video.
That's what happened.
Did you ever find the albino one up by the township?
I did not. Thanks for saying that. I'm still hoping to make that happen. And white-tailed deer, you'll see it sometimes. I actually almost stepped on it, didn't realize. But the reason they're spotted, what people don't realize sometimes is their way of surviving for the babies is more like just hiding, and the parents just leave them behind, and they're just supposed to sit there and blend in. So we leave them in place, and we'll go off and feed and stuff. And I just happen to walk just about right on top of that guy. But another one that was quite a surprise, big brown bat. So I found this guy. He was just like in this shrub in the middle of the day, which you don't normally find, so something was definitely wrong. And I was trying to, get some food or whatever, nothing was working. So I ended up having to bring it in a bucket and bring it to the Metro Wildlife Rehab, which is where Jennifer, my girlfriend, works. So they were able to take care of it, and nobody's really sure what was wrong with it, but it was not doing well. And then the next day, it was back to normal, and it just flew off.
Problem solved.
Yes. And then another cool one that some people don't realize is in the area that, if you saw it, I mentioned in my show that I do on BCTV sometimes. The next episode is going to be about beavers. So, next clip here. He's chopping down on a stick. They eat the cambium layer in between the bark and the wood. So we'll chop on that until there's nothing left, just the wood sitting there. And then they have to use the wood to build a dam or a den, which is the next one. He's just kind of like coming up with a slop of sticks and leaves and mud, putting it on his den, building it up a little bit. Yeah, fantastic. Yes. There was, 3 there, there's one that's a smaller guy, and 2 that are pretty large, from what I saw.
And this is around here?
Yes, that's no, I don't know, like,
No,
over the ocean animal, but.
No.
And the last one we'll talk about a little bit is the foxes, and there's a family of foxes. The mom comes back. It's a series of tunnels. They're going all over the place, and they're all attached. So the mom goes to the bottom, and it's like waiting for the kits. The babies are called kits, and doesn't realize they come out of the other hole. It's a greed. And feeding time.
She looks healthy.
Yes, the mom is always on guard, and the kids don't really have that on guard.
So males, are they part of the rearing or not?
Yeah, the males and the females work together, and sometimes the kids from the last year all work together as a unit to help out. I can't remember the exact duties. I've read about it before, but I haven't lately. So, but the next one is just the kids when they're at play, having fun.
How big a habitat do they wander around?
It can depend, because, I mean, at the time when they have the babies, they're just like looking for food, and if like, they're having a hard time finding food, they'll wander off quite a ways to find anything. I've seen them grabbing, roadkill before, and something gets their attention here, so it's just kind of like.
Chickens.
And the last one, again, the 2 of them, I think that it's a good way to end it off with a high level of cuteness. As the one just sits on the other one.
Sibling love.
I believe that's like, maybe like a month old, maybe a little bit more than that.
He used to have that on the house alone.
Oh, wow. But that's all of it. Thank you for coming out. Come out for a walk. Hopefully we get some rain or get things back in health.
If we're gonna go to Burgess, the parking lot is full, park along the side there.
I said, what we're going to do is, visit one more Methodist church, and then park down there, we're leaving cars down there.
Anyone wants to see you guys in the pool, these are half full of wood rock